Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, the One Piece podcast that digs deep. We are breaking down chapter 1162 titled The World. And Robin, I'm just gonna say it. The final page. Rox D. Xebec staring down that thing and saying with all the confidence of the future king of the world that he's looking at, the world itself.
It's one of the most chilling lines in the entire series. Just the sheer certainty in his voice. He knows what he's looking at. It's not a guess, it's not a boast. It's a statement of fact from a man who possesses forbidden knowledge.
He's not scared, he's identifying it, like a zoologist naming a species. It's a moment that redefines everything. If you're listening and you want to be part of the crew that's here every week when a chapter like this drops that completely reshapes the lore, you know where the button is. Help us build the strongest crew on the 7 seas.
Let's start at the beginning, though, because before the world ended, there was a lot of running. The entire island is a maelstrom of chaos, and the story does a masterful job of showing us these little pockets of character-defining moments within it.
For sure. Roger is just focused on the treasure, but he tells Rayleigh to take Shakky and just get out of there. The mission is done. Protect your people. It's classic Roger. He's got that laser focus, but his crew always comes first. Even in the middle of the biggest treasure hunt of his life, his first thought is getting his people to safety.
And you see the absolute scum of the pirate world immediately sizing them up. They see Rayleigh with Shakky and think, oh, a prize to be won. They see a woman as nothing more than property to be claimed, which is depressingly standard for that level of fodder.
But then Shiki steps in. Shiki, of all people. And he doesn't do it for some grand moral reason. He just tells his men to leave her alone because he doesn't want her to get hurt, and that the treasure is the only thing that matters.
It's such a specific character note. It's not chivalry, it's pragmatism. He sees her as a fellow professional in a way. I wonder if he recognizes her, maybe from her days as a pirate captain. To him, she's not just some woman. She's a known quantity, a valuable person caught in the chaos, and hurting her is just bad business. It's a strange sort of respect.
Exactly. It's like, we're here for a bank heist, don't start a fire in the lobby. He's not a good guy, not by a long shot, but he has a code, a professional's code. It adds so much texture to his character, beyond just the guy who got a steering wheel stuck in his head. You see why he was on Roger's level. They had different philosophies, but they operated in the same stratosphere of the pirate world.
It also highlights the internal fractures within the Rox pirates. Shiki isn't acting on Rox's orders. He's managing his own crew within the larger fleet. It was always a coalition of predators, not a family.
It is. And while they're running, Rayleigh is trying to get this big confession out. He's trying to tell Shakky something important. He's flustered, he's out of breath, he's literally in the middle of a war, and he chooses this moment to try and pour his heart out.
And she just cuts him off with, I already know. The ultimate power move. Rayleigh, the Dark King, future right hand of the Pirate King, a man who would one day stare down an admiral without flinching, is stammering, and she's just completely in control. You see their entire relationship right there in that one line. It's perfect. It's not just romantic, it's a partnership of equals.
She always knew who he was, and she didn't need him to say it. Her confidence in him and in them was absolute. She didn't need the words because she understood the man. It makes their quiet life together in Sabaody feel so much richer. They've been through the absolute worst the world has to offer, and they came out the other side with this unshakable, unspoken understanding.
Meanwhile, the whole reason this chaos is even useful is playing out. Kuma and Ivankov made it to the treasury. Their entire plan worked. For a few brief, glorious seconds, they had 2 of the most powerful devil fruits in the world in their hands. The ultimate freedom ticket.
It worked for about 5 seconds. Then Big Mom arrives.
Of course she does. She's a force of nature, a hurricane of hunger. and she just snatches the Uo Uo no Mi, the Seiryu fruit, right out of Ivankov's hands. No fight, no struggle, just gone. It's such a perfect demonstration of the power gap. Eva is strong, we know that, but a future Yonko is on another level entirely.
That's the power of a future Yonko. She saw what she wanted and took it. She isn't the fully formed emperor of Totland yet, but the core of her power is all there. She even tried to grab the Nikyu Nikyu no Mi.
But Kuma was faster. He just shoves it in his mouth. No hesitation. He knows what he has to do. He saw his chance to get power, and he took it to save people. That's Kuma in a single action. Think about it, Robin. He's a slave. He's been told his whole life that he's worthless, that his race is cursed. And in his first moment of true agency, with a power that could let him rule the world, his only thought is, how can I use this for others?
And Ivankov's reaction is what really gets me. He's not angry about losing the dragon fruit. He doesn't mourn the loss of a mythical Zoan that could have been a supreme weapon for their cause. He tells Kuma he has to use that new power to save himself, and that if they can get even one person off that island, it's a victory.
That is the heart of their entire movement right there. It's not about winning the war in one day. It's not about getting the best weapons or the most power. It's about saving one person, and then another and another. That's how you win. That's a victory worth fighting for. It's the complete opposite of the world government's philosophy of sacrificing millions for the sake of a perceived order.
Exactly. But while they're having this pure, heartfelt moment, we cut to Garp, and he's seeing the absolute opposite of that. He's seeing the price of the Celestial Dragon's games.
He's not in the thick of the pirate brawl. He's on the outskirts, where the real victims are.
He's walking through the bodies of civilians and slaves, the people he was sworn to protect, and he gets on the line with Sengoku, demanding to know if he was aware of this.
There's no bravado in his voice, just cold, simmering rage.
You can feel the rage and the betrayal in his voice. He's a Marine. He's supposed to protect people, and he's walking through a graveyard his own employers created for sport. He signed up to chase pirates, to fight for justice. He didn't sign up to be a janitor for the genocidal whims of the world's elite. This is the moment his black and white view of the world shatters.
Sengoku's answer is just devastating. He confesses. He doesn't lie or deflect. He says there was a Marine who reported rumors about the native hunting competition. A good man, presumably, someone who tried to do the right thing.
And that Marine just vanished.
Vanished. That one word tells you everything you need to know about the world government. It's not just that they're corrupt, it's that they're ruthlessly, silently efficient at maintaining their power. If you speak the truth, you are erased. It connects directly back to O'Hara, to Professor Clover, to anyone who gets too close to the real history. It's the same pattern, repeated over and over for 800 years.
Garp has to accept it. This isn't a pirate atrocity. This is his government. This is the justice he's been fighting for. This is the moment the cracks in his worldview turn into canyons.
You realize this is why he refused the admiral position his whole life. He couldn't be a direct dog for the Celestial Dragons. He had to carve out his own space where he could operate on his own terms as much as possible.
It's the beginning of the Garp we know today, the one who operates by his own moral code because he knows the official one is a lie. This is the event that led him to train Kobe in Helmeppo, to trust Roger with his son, to turn a blind eye to Luffy's exploits for as long as he could. It all started here, in the ashes of God Valley.
And then we get to the man at the center of all this, Rox. He finds Eris and Teach. He's not rampaging or seeking power at this moment. He's being a father and a husband. He rescues his family.
But they're not safe. Garling is on their heels, but he's not alone. He's with these demons, these things that look like twisted parodies of people, moving with an unnatural speed and healing from grievous wounds.
And the reveal, Robin, the reveal that these demons, these regenerating monsters hunting him down, are his own father and grandmother.
his family. Members of the Davy family, just like him, turned into hunting dogs for the celestial dragons. It's monstrous. It's a level of cruelty that goes beyond simple murder. It's the desecration of family, of lineage, of memory itself.
Rox is just shouting, how can this be? How can his people, the hunted, become the hunters? He's inflicting wounds, deep wounds, and they just keep getting back up. It's a nightmare. This powerful, ambitious man is reduced to a horrified son, forced to fight the bodies of his own kin. You feel his world breaking apart.
And Garling's line is so cruel. It's delivered with such casual arrogance. He admits Rox is strong, that the wounds he's leaving are taking longer to heal, but now that they know he's from the Davy family, killing him can salvage the competition.
Salvage it. Like it's a game that went a little off the rails. They ruined the party, so now we'll just kill one of the natives to make up for it. The dehumanization is absolute. It's not a fight to them, it's pest control. And it gives us the final piece of Rox's motivation.
It also explains why Rox hates the world nobles so much. It's not just a grab for power, it's personal, it's vengeance. They took his family, twisted them, and set them on him like animals. His desire to be king of the world is likely a desire to burn their world to the ground so that nothing like this can ever happen again.
And this is where Eris shows what she's made of. She tells Rox to put her down. She says he can't fight properly while he's protecting her and Teach. He's trying to be a shield, and she's telling him she needs him to be a sword.
He refuses. He knows what they do to anyone associated with the Davy family. Endless agony. He's seen it. He knows that capture is a fate far, far worse than death in the world government's hands.
But she pushes back. She says she knew that when she married him. She accepted it. She says the reason he fell in love with her is because she was never the type to just cling to him for protection. It's such a powerful, heartbreaking moment. She's reminding him of her own strength, her own agency.
She's telling him to trust her, to trust that she is as strong as he is, in her own way. She asks him to let her save herself and their son. This isn't a damsel in distress moment. This is a queen making a strategic decision. She's his partner in this fight, not just a liability.
And she makes a promise. She says they'll meet again in Lulusia. Lulusia, of all places. The chills I got. These threads are being woven together from across the entire story.
And we know what happens to Lulusia. It's eventually erased from existence by Emu. It's a promise that is doomed from the start, a destination that will one day vanish from the map. That tragic outcome she can't even imagine just makes it gut-wrenching.
And she even tells him that if it looks like they're about to be captured, she'll take her own life and Teach's. That's how much she trusts him to win. She's giving him permission to go all out because she has her own escape plan, even if it's the ultimate one. She is taking control of her own fate.
So he lets her go. He lets his wife and child run into the heart of a war zone because he trusts her. And then he turns to face his own twisted family and a holy night alone. That is a look of pure, unadulterated rage on his face. He's been unleashed.
Man, that's love. That's a bond as strong as any Straw Hat. I was not expecting to feel this way about Rox D. Xebec. I thought he was just going to be a one-dimensional, power-hungry maniac.
We're seeing the man, not the monster from the history books. And as the saying goes, history is written by the victors.
And speaking of monsters, back at the treasury, Big Mom is already counting her chickens. She's thinking about giving the Seiryu fruit to Parasparrow.
Which would have been a terrifying combination, I have to admit. A candy dragon? The possibilities are both absurd and horrifying.
But then a young, hungry Kaido just blitzes her. He attacks her, grabs the fruit, and eats it right in front of her. No monologue, no hesitation. Just pure predatory instinct. He saw an opportunity and he seized it. The most Kaido way possible to get his power. It perfectly encapsulates his philosophy that only the strong have the right to anything. He saw Big Mom as weak in that moment of distraction, so he proved his strength by taking what was hers.
It sets up their entire dynamic for the next 40 years. That debt he owes her, that rivalry, that weird toxic respect, it all started right here with him betraying her for power. It's the perfect encapsulation of the Rock's pirates. Everyone is in it for themselves, and if you turn your back for a second, you'll get a knife in it.
While all this is happening, the bigger picture on the island is just pure chaos. The Roger pirates are at the secondary treasure, fighting the Rocks pirates, and the Marines are just forming a perimeter, not to intervene, but to contain.
Their only goal is to stop anyone from escaping, not to save people, not to restore order, just to contain the problem. It's damage control. God Valley is a cancer, and their job is just to cut it out of the world, no matter how many healthy cells they have to kill in the process.
We see that with brutal clarity. A few civilians make it to the shore. They're not pirates, they're not slaves, they're just people. They're begging the Marines for help, for rescue.
And the Marines just open fire. They shoot them down in the water, just mow them down like animals.
Their reasoning is chillingly simple. They are under no obligation to help a nation that isn't affiliated with the world government. Your life has no value if you haven't paid your dues to the heavens. It's the ultimate bureaucratic evil. Their deaths aren't a tragedy, they're a jurisdictional issue.
It's the same logic they used at O'Hara, the same logic they use everywhere. If you're not part of their system, you are not human. You are an obstacle. You're a rounding error in their grand equation of absolute justice. It makes my blood boil.
And watching all of this is Saturn, just observing. He is completely dispassionate, watching the carnage unfold like it's a mildly interesting play, until he gets a call.
A call from the very top. Emu. And they ask one question. Is Rocks dead?
Saturn doesn't know, but he says something incredibly prescient. He says this level of destruction, this utter chaos, will birth something entirely new. He recognizes this as an inflection point in history.
He's talking about the next generation, isn't he? He's talking about Roger, Whitebeard, Shiki, the ones who will survive this and go on to define the next era. He can see the new age being forged in the fires of God Valley. He's not a fool. He understands cause and effect.
Emu's response is telling. We cannot allow that. Their greatest fear is unpredictability, the unknown, the D, anything that could disrupt their perfect static world. Emu doesn't want a new era. They want this era, the one they control, to last for eternity. Change is the enemy.
So they decide to intervene personally. But before we get to that, the chapter gives us a shot of pure hope in the middle of all this darkness. Kuma.
He's already using his new powers, sending slaves and civilians flying off the island to safety, one after another, pushing their pain and fatigue out of them, and then sending them soaring towards a new life.
He just ate the fruit. He's probably in pain. He has no idea what he's doing. He's just figuring it out on the fly. But his first and only instinct is to save people. He is living up to Eva's words. He is their victory. For every person he saves, it's a win against the world government.
It's the perfect contrast to the world government's cruelty. The Marines shoot fleeing civilians, and a so-called tyrant slave uses his newfound power to save them. It perfectly illustrates the central theme of the series. True justice and freedom come from the people, not the institutions.
Okay, let's get to it. The end of the chapter. Rox has done the impossible. He defeated Garling. He defeated his own zombified, regenerating family. He won. He is standing amidst the wreckage, bloodied but triumphant.
But then he feels it. And we see Garp and Roger feel it too. A sudden oppressive pressure, a presence that shouldn't exist, a fundamental wrongness descending on the island.
And Whitebeard shows up. He just walks up to his captain, his massive Bacento resting on his shoulder, ready for the next fight. Rox tells him he doesn't have to be there, but Newgate just brushes it off. Don't sweat it. That's a captain and his first mate right there, a sign of respect even in that crew of cutthroats.
Then Kaido descends from the sky, in his full dragon form for the first time. He's showing off his new power, reveling in it. A massive, terrifying blue dragon coiling in the smoke-filled air.
Rox isn't mad. He's not jealous. He looks up and praises him. Worororo, you look good, Kaido. He's proud of his crewmate's strength.
This is not the petty tyrant the history books told us about. This is a real captain who values power and is genuinely impressed by his subordinates' growth.
But Whitebeard brings them back to the immediate threat. He asked what that burst of power was that they all just felt, that sudden, chilling silence that fell over the battlefield.
And we see it. Imu possessing Saturn, fusing with his awakened Gyuki form, this spider-legged, cloud-wreathed, shadowy nightmare towering over the island. The form is Saturn's, but the presence, the sheer overwhelming aura is Imu's.
Everyone else is just frozen. Disbelief, terror. They're looking at something that doesn't fit into their understanding of the world. It's a literal god of their world descending. Roger looks shocked. Garp looks horrified. Whitebeard is gritting his teeth.
But not Rox. He looks right at it. No fear, just recognition. And he answers Whitebeard's question. He says they're facing the world. Super! That's the only word for a moment like that.
It implies the world is a title or a weapon, like the ancient weapons Uranus, Poseidon, Pluton, and now the world. Is Imu's power itself one of these things, or is it something that stands above them, the ultimate authority?
Or is it something else? Is it literally the will of the planet co-opted and corrupted by the world government? When Rox says he wants to be king of the world, is he talking about ruling the planet, or is he talking about taking that thing's throne? It's not a political statement anymore, it's a theological one.
It changes everything. His ambition might not have been simple conquest. It might have been a direct challenge to the god of the One Piece world. He wasn't just trying to overthrow the celestial dragons, he was aiming for the empty throne itself, because he knew it wasn't empty.
Bro, he knew. Whatever the secrets of the Void Century are, whatever the D-Clan is, Rox knew enough to recognize Imu on sight and give it a name. He wasn't just trying to take over the world, he was trying to liberate it. Maybe in a twisted, destructive way, but his target was the root of the whole system.
It frames the entire God Valley incident in a new light. It wasn't just three factions fighting over treasure. It was a confrontation with the divine, and the world government erased the truth of it, painting Rox as the villain to hide the fact that a god descended to Earth to strike him down personally.
And they needed Garp and Roger, his two biggest rivals, to help them do it and then cover it up. They used the two most prominent Ds of the era to eliminate another D who knew the truth. The sheer scale of this is just, it's peak One Piece. I absolutely loved this chapter.
It's one for the history books. All of them. The real ones and the fake ones.
Alright, before we get into what's coming next, if you had as many aha moments as we did this chapter, drop a comment below with the one that hit you the hardest. We're definitely going to be reading through those.
Okay, predictions for chapter 1163. I'll start. I believe the name Davy family is not a coincidence. It is absolutely connected to the Davy backfight. That tradition is a remnant of their culture, a way of settling disputes and wagers that was twisted into a pirate game after their people were hunted and scattered.
Oh, I like that. That feels right. Okay, my first one is that next chapter is the Battle Royale. It's not going to be a clean fight. It's going to be Rox, Whitebeard, and Kaido versus Imu Saturn, with Roger and Garp caught in the middle, forced to fight both sides at once. Total island-shattering chaos.
My second prediction is that we will finally hear Imu speak a full sentence through Saturn's body, and it will be a direct reference to the Void Century or Joy Boy. They will see something in Rox, his will, his power, his knowledge, and name their fear out loud the first time.
That's heavy. My next one is about Iris and Teach. I think they get away. They make it to Lulusia just like she promised. But something happens there, maybe connected to the world government's pursuit, that leads to Iris's death and leaves Teach an orphan right where he needs to be for Whitebeard to find him later. Her sacrifice will be what puts Blackbeard on his path.
A grim but plausible outcome. For my final prediction, the flashback will not end with Rock's death on screen. The final moments of God Valley will be after the catastrophe. It'll be Garp and Roger standing in the ruins, looking at the crater left behind, having a quiet moment of understanding. The shared horror of what they just witnessed and what they had to do will be the true foundation of their bond.
I could see that. A quiet, somber ending instead of a big climactic punch. It would explain why they never spoke about the details. It was a shared trauma. My last prediction is that we'll learn what Rock's devil fruit power was. He stood his ground against Garling, his family, and is now facing the world. We have to see what the captain of the Rock's pirates could actually do. I think it's related to darkness or gravity, something that will create a direct parallel with Blackbeard.